Everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this another session. So in this session, as you know, we'll be talking about some of the front-end features that are mostly used by analysts, assessors, and also sometimes by the administrators as well. Like I'll go slow in this particular session to some extent because last session was a bit heavy. Let's see how much we can cover in this session, and then I think if anything remains, we'll take it up at the very end, or we can have another session, additional session. All right. Like as it says, as a front end a feature for analyst and assessor. So as you all know, like ProBench is actually good at serving two types of benchmarking and assessment cycles. One is the self-assessment cycle where the companies can themselves go and provide their responses, and another is the public assessment cycle where like the analysts or assessors first analyze the data by from the publicly available information. They score the company themselves, the analysts score the companies, and then they kind of open the platform for the companies to get into the system, evaluate their scores, and provide their comments if they are not happy with any of the scores that are given to them. So both self-assessment and public assessment structures or processes are readily doable through ProBench. Okay, so if this is if you are as a self-assessment client, then it would be, this session would be useful from an administrator point of view. Like if you want to go in as a company or impersonate as a company and give answers to some of the questions or review whatever they have entered. So even for you guys, this session would be useful. So yeah, just so I'll first like impersonating a company is the first thing that either analysts or assessors or the administrators normally do. So let me take you through the impersonation process. So whenever you log in as an administrator or an analyst or an assessor, okay, the first screen that you see is manage participants, and you will see the list of all the companies that needs to be evaluated, or you need to go and analyze those companies. Okay, so what you need to do is, because you are an administrator, you can answer on behalf of any companies, right? Because they are under your region, they are under your group, then you would be able to answer those on behalf of the companies or and assess those companies. So the very first thing that you will have to do is, like on the manage participant, you'll have to go and impersonate as that particular company. Okay, so log in as this participant, or in other words, it's impersonate as that company. So when I click on that, it would take me to a home page. Okay, and home page would be having most of the information that the clients or the companies see, and there are these multiple tabs here. One is new, open, and submitted. So if you are starting anything new, like as an assessor or as an analyst, you are going into this company for the first time and you have not started that company, or started submitting the responses of that company, you would see a new tab here. And when you go to that new tab, you will see the surveys that you need to assess that company on. And once you click on that particular box, or on that particular link to that survey, it would like something, it would open an overview page, and which would have the list of all the questions here. So this is basically an overview page to give you an idea. Okay, like what are the sections that are there, how much overall scores that can be there within that section, what is the status of that section at this point. Sorry.
Hello and welcome to Saras.
All right, no, sorry. All right, it would contain the status of the that particular section. You can download that section as a Word document if you want to share it with some other users directly via email rather than having an online access. So an offline version is also available. So this complete overview of the whole, what is the total score provided or achieved by that particular company is also provided on the top. So all these features like this, the showing of scores is basically a toggle feature. If you enable it, it would enable. Otherwise, normally by default it is disabled. So and this scores are only visible to the analysts or assessors or administrators. The companies won't be able to see it. So it's been set up in that manner. All right. So once you go inside one of the questions, then you would see something like this. Like this is the page for the analyst, and you see the complete cycle that Probench supports is like, firstly, you can assess the companies using whatever options that you have given. You can provide your comments here as an analyst or an assessor. You can provide the evidence based on which you have given a certain points to the company. And after the evidence is provided, you can like complete after the complete, or you have completed all the sections, then you open it for the companies to make it visible, right? So then the companies can provide their comments, then you can have a review process in place. So all those things are very much possible when it comes to a single cycle, and all starting from scoring the companies to completing the reviews, it can completely be done within Probench itself and online accessibility. So the that's how the whole thing works in Probench. And on this page as well, on the top, like at a section level or page level, you will see the scores. What is the score of this section? If there are any flagged indicators, so all complete information is on the in front of your screen. All right. So this is about the normal structure of Probench for analysts, assessors, etc. Right. So the next thing that I would like to cover are two things. One is like the read-only questions, and the another is admin-only questions. So I touched both these points last time when we spoke about the template, and I mentioned that if you select an admin-only sorry, yeah. So if you select this particular box here, this makes it as an admin only question, right? And then if you create a read only condition, okay, then the question under it would be as read only. So now today in this particular session, I would show you how it actually displays in the front end, okay, for both the analysts and assessors, as well as how it is displayed to the companies when they get into the system. Okay. So so if you see for analysts or assessors or administrators, the read-only question is like you have a background with uh, gray, and then you can like decide based on how you want it to be, or like whatever scores that you want to give, and comments and everything is shown. And when it comes to the admin only questions, it is shown in the red background. So these are all the admin only questions. So these two questions and this checkbox is an only admin only question, right? So this is what is the, so now how would a company see when they get into the system is what I'll just show you. So this is the same question. Okay. The read only question is still in the gray background, but if you see here, this all fields are kind of read only. Okay, so they cannot do anything here. These are just images. So if you if say suppose I select this here and click on save, so and then refresh the page here, just yeah, and then refresh the page on the, this is the company side of it. So here I would see this is like selected because that was selected by the assessors and analysts. But I, as a company user, I would not able to change anything here. Okay, it's complete read only. Even this particular part is read only, the comments that I have given. Okay, so even the evidences would be read only. You would only be able to see the evidence if there are any, but you will not able to upload any evidences as a company user because it is under a read only condition. And the next is about the admin only, the SSR comments and the genuine non-genuine change. So if I go to the companies, I would not see those questions at all. For me, that is like it does not exist because it's an admin only thing, and only administrators or analyst assessors would be able to uh, see those questions. So any internal communications that can take place can happen within that in admin only questions. All right, so that is one way of doing it. So this is about the admin only question. And the other one more, there is a type of question, I would say. We have recently, like at about 6 7 months back, we have added it, which is called as a conversation question type. Okay, so in the uh, here we can, like any other question type, we can set it as a conversation question type. So how the conversation question type works is, I'll just show you. So here, if you see, this comments are, so it acts as a from analysis. It normally acts as a chat box, if I may say that. So now I have added this comment here, and then shall click on save. Okay. All right. So you see here the comments are added in this fashion. So here I'll see what the company users have entered, and then I can continue that conversation. So this is mainly useful when it comes to the conversation between the companies and the analysts, where companies maybe agree or not agree to certain things and they want to discuss it out. So this is how it can still be tracked, and it is all within the system itself. So it is like a time stamped which user provided this response, and also from an administrator point of view, you can decide it here. And if you, as an administrator, if you want to edit the comment, you can also edit the comment from here, and then click on thumbs up, or you can delete your comment as well. So you can do only this only with your comments. You cannot modify any of the company's comments here. Okay, so this is a conversation question type. So how it is seen by the companies is what the exactly how you saw there. But in this case, the editing and the deleting of the responses is the other way around, because it's company's own comments. They can edit and delete that comments, and the administrator comments are just visible normally, because they would not able to change it. So this is how the whole conversation can be carried out by the companies, or between the companies and the analysts. Okay, so far, any questions, like from whatever we have discussed so far, before I move forward? All right, fine, no problem. So this is about uh, read only, admin only, and the conversation question type. One more feature that we recently added, and that may be helpful even for the administrators or analysts for internal communication, or like it can also be used between the companies and the analysts, or companies and uh, the administrators. So that particular feature is like flag this page. So previously, this flag this page feature was only available at a page level. So you can either flag a page or unflag a page. Okay, but now what we have recently introduced is like this flag feature is at every question level. Okay, so each question can be marked as flagged here. Okay, each individual question within the page can be marked as flagged, and whenever the questions are marked, uh, and when you click on save, uh, you would be able to see like these are the questions that are flagged here. Okay, so you can see that complete flag thing. So because this is a user side, I would show you here. So you will also see like what are the questions that are flagged, so how many questions are flagged, and you will also be able to see which question is flagged, and on click of that question it would take you to that particular question. So you can use it as a bookmark for a page, as an analyst, as an administrator. If you want to come back, you can flag each indicator now, and after you flag that indicator, you will get on the top. And so if there is a conversation say between an analyst and a reviewer, even so in those cases as well, the flagged indicators can be used to have an internal communication that we have flagged this indicator, please go and review it, and then reviewer can go and unflag it once the review is done. So at the end, on the submission page, you will see the list of all the pages that are incomplete or flagged. So so before you submit, you would have the complete picture there. Okay, so like yeah, so we are enhancing this feature currently in this particular sprint is where like when you click on this, then or click on this one of the pages, then it adds here immediately, that is already done, but the overview side overview page does not immediately effect, but we are working on it and it would be done in the coming weeks. So that one thing, so we are trying to be like uh, as immediate as possible, where you do not have to worry about saving that page again and again as whenever you flag that page. So so that thing we are working on currently. Any questions regarding the flag this indicator page functionality?
Can companies flag indicators?
Yeah, companies can also flag indicators, yes.
And that will show on our
Yes,
screens as well. Okay.
yes, yes.
And is there a way to like unflag everything in one go or anything? I just know when companies have flagged something, it's hard to
And
see.
it is there currently there is no way to unflag everything at one go. So you'll have
Okay.
to do it one by one, because there's one reason behind that is like if you unflag all at once, then I'm not sure it solves the purpose of flagging individual indicators, because if you want to like flag the whole page, then you can flag it at that individual the whole page. So I'm not sure, but if you have a certain any particular reasons why that would be needed, just to understand in case we want to implement that.
No, not really. I just I wasn't sure if companies
All
could
right,
do it. So
sure.
but I think it's quite clear, and now that has like the number of flags per page, we can see.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem, thanks. Any other questions? All right, so now I'll move on to one more feature, and that is the history feature. Okay, so this is another very useful feature for the analysts and administrators, and which is called a show history here. So every question has the show history icon here. So when you click on this icon, what you see is the history of that the responses that has been given by that company. Okay, so it's like response, then when it was saved, what's the status, and whether you want to apply or not. Okay, so I'll just click on save here. So once you'll get an idea how it is used. Okay, so now I've changed the responses. I'll again go to the history. So you now see there are two histories. So you will basically be able to track response or response history of that particular indicator at every point. So you'll also come to know when it was done. And this status flag shows you what is the current state. Okay, and as an administrator you are also able to like click on apply response. So if you want to change back to this particular response, then you can click on apply this response and it would like uh, change in the background. So you see here it is now yes is selected here, and if I want to kind of go back to the no response, then I'll click on apply response here. So as an administrator or a reviewer, it is useful for you to see which responses and when it was changed for the complete picture or for the complete cycle to be in place. Second, on the same way, you will see one more tab, which is all company responses. So here, so this tab, just to make a note, is only visible to administrators or analysts. Okay, it is not visible to companies. Okay, however, this response tab is visible to the companies. They can see the complete history of responses, but all companies response is only for the administrators. Okay, so using this particular tab, you will come to know like what responses have been selected for the same indicator for another company. Okay, so if say there are 100 companies that participate in a particular survey, and you want to see what each of the companies fare for this particular question or indicator, then you can see all companies response, and for this O3, what are the responses provided for each of the companies is visible here, and when it was last saved and all those things. So this is normally useful when analysts normally check the same I mean companies from the same sector or companies from the same region, to get an understanding like whether what scores they are giving, are they in line with the other companies that they normally know, that they can relate to basically. So if they are completing an assessment for Adidas, then they would compare their scores with Nike because they know that they are in the same apparel industry and the same sector. So what points that they have given there, so just to get a gauge. So that was about all the companies responses, and last is the last year's company response. So currently you are not able to see because there is no previous survey to what I'm demonstrating right now, but here you would also see at any point, like for this particular question, what was the response given to this company last year, like what was selected or what was the score given to this company last year, or what did the company select last year. So you will completely get the history of this particular indicator. So this history box is like also available for like all the question types except for the tabular questions, because tabular questions are a bit complex to display because there are lots of different cells, but you can see it for the single select questions or text questions. So all those questions is readily available and possible to do when it comes to the history. Any questions for the history?
No, I think that's a really good feature. And does it just revert the text, or does it add, does it do anything with the evidence? Would you need to re-add evidence if that's been removed?
No, it's just for the text. So evidence history is not available.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. So I'll move forward to the actual means one more feature, which is we call it as comments feature. So comments is like if suppose there is a scenario that you have, like if the analyst or let's say if you want to have a standardization when it comes to the comments provided in the explanation, or whatever the analysis, whatever comments are added by the analysts or assessors, then in those cases this comments feature is a lot useful, because you can standardize your comments. So for example, I'll just let me just delete everything here, just from a demonstration point of view. Okay, so suppose you want that whenever the analyst select yes, okay, the explanation box should have a standardized text always whenever they select yes, or whenever they give 1 point for this particular question. So every question can have their own comments. Okay, so when I click on yes, it would ask me whether you want to append comment. So so this is the comment that has been automatically added. Okay, uh, so this would give you a standardized, and then if the analyst want, they can change it. Okay, so this would give a standardized template to the comments that are added, instead of analysts or assessors randomly adding their own text, which is then difficult to review at a certain point. It is helpful to have this kind of an standardized comments if possible. There is also a way where I can you can set up like multiple comments for. So if I select partial, there are two types of comments I can add. One is like companies does not fulfill full responsibility, and one is like company has a policy but does not follow it. So I can the reason behind me selecting 0.5 can be either of them. Okay, so it is on the analyst to select whether I want to select the first one or second one. If I go for the second one, then and click on replace comments, then it would replace that comment that was added, and it would add this standardized text. So this would give a standardized format to the complete assessment that is done within ProBench. Okay, this is how it is useful, and even for the companies to review, it is much more easier because they know what could be the reasons, instead of interpreting the complete text that is provided by the analysts or assessors. Okay, any questions with this particular functionality?
Sorry, I don't think I saw. How did you do that? Is it in when you're building the survey?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll just show you. That's a good question. Thank you. So this is the question. So let me take you through one of, sorry, no, this is not the one. That's 003, which I'm using currently. So within the, so this is the assessment, and that has three options. And within the option, I have created one more question, or like within the 0.5, I have created two questions. Okay, and these two questions have this type of question, which is comments. Okay, so you have to create comments type of question. Make sure you give the score as 0, so that it is not calculated in your scoring methodology, because this is more from a text point of view. This is how you can add, and then you see this ID or node ID in this box, right? So this node ID is of the company comment, the comments box that we have here, that is the explanation box. So this explanation, the node ID of the explanation box has to be added here under the number tab. So the system would know that whenever this particular comment is selected, where do I have to put that comment into, or which field I need to copy it into. Okay, so there can be any number of comments within the option. There is no limitation. Okay, the only thing is you should have this node ID, you should have the comments, and it should be of type comments. Okay, so the yes option has this one comment, and the partial or 0.5 option has two comments here. Okay, so this is how you can set it up for the analyst to use it. Does that answer your question, Imogen?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions about the comments feature? All right, so I'll move forward. There is one very important feature, that is the attachment library. Most of you would know about this, but I just thought to have a bit detailed discussion on it. So evidence library, as you most of you know, like we can upload the URLs as well as we can upload the files. So whenever you upload the URLs, we can like, I'll just so now the file names are important. So Google website, and then I can give the page number if I'm uploading a PDF file using a URL, because there are possibilities that the evidence is at a particular location, and under that location you can directly give that PDF file link out here, and the system would automatically download that PDF and put it in the system. So I'll click on upload, so it would show, and this uploads. So whatever you upload from here would be displayed on the top, which says evidence you have uploaded for this survey. Okay, so it's added here completely. And then like if you have multiple or more than 10 15 evidences, you can use the search box here to do it. You can also like use edit functionality, where you can modify the page number that you might have added. So all those things are very much possible. So whatever information that we have, you will be seeing that this is like uploaded on so and so date. This is the PDF that was generated, as you know, we create a snapshot of whatever URL that you put in. So the snapshot is converted into PDF. So when I go to this snapshot, I'll see the Google page converted into a PDF format. Then I'll see what URL that you have added. So even the URL is saved. And the description, you might add the page number or say whatever section that you want to refer in that particular page. You can give, or you can give the description there, and to which question it is linked to. So it shows you to which question it is linked to, and that's it. So these are all the information that shows, and whatever you give the file name, that file name would be displayed here. So previously it was basically storing the whole URL as a file name, but then there is a lot of confusion when it comes to if the URLs are too big, it becomes almost kind of uh, non-readable. And because that URL might be pointing to say sustainability report of some companies, or the policy documents of some company, then it's always better to mention like what is the file name or what is that file actually contains. Then you can give the file name. And the other way of uploading an evidence is like choosing a file from your local hard drive and uploading it uh, to the system. So that would be uploaded as an evidence as well. So these are the ways you can. There is also a way where you can add file attributes. So if you remember, in our first session, I mentioned about adding participant fields, where we were adding additional information for the participant or companies, right? So similarly, we can also have file fields. Okay, so just to give you an example, uh, I'll click on, like say when I go to setup, I click on file fields. Okay, and in the file fields I can create multiple file fields, like let me say I want to create a new field which is called as source, or say uh, evidence date. Okay, on date on when that file was created basically, or which year maybe. Okay, so I'll give the display name as evidence date. Sorry, this should be the code. And the description I would give, means whatever I want to give, I would add the date of when the evidence was created. And then in the type, I can select a date type. Okay, so I can have a text box, I can have a drop down, radio, checkbox, etc. I'll select a date type and click on create. Okay, so as soon as I create in the file fields, I'll see this file field here, and because I want to see it here, I'll just have to, as a administrator, have to rebuild this page. Just give a moment. Yeah. So when I now go to attach document, I'll see this evidence date here. Okay, so you can add any number of such additional fields that you want the analyst or assessors to collect at the time of their assessments. Okay, so I can select a date here, and like now that I have already added this, how do I change the date? So when I go to edit, then I'll get the evidence date here as well. So I'll just go and edit, click on save. So that additional field would be added here. If you see this evidence date here. Okay, so this is kind of a metadata if you want to add to your files, and there is no restriction to the number of metadata you can add. So it's completely flexible in that sense. You as an administrator can go to the file fields and add your file fields, any number of file fields there. Okay, so that's about the uploading of file. Now suppose there is a situation where most of the questions need sustainability report as an attachment or as an evidence, and only the page number of uh, the the report changes on each of the questions. So in those cases, there are two ways to do it. One is like browse all the evidence, and that is one thing. So I'll go to some other question just to give you an idea. So I'll go to attachment, and now I want to attach the same Google document that I have uploaded again in this particular question. So one way of doing it is browse all files. Then I'll see this Google website that I have added in the previous question, and I can click on add here. Okay, so when I add, it would directly add it as an evidence for this particular question. Okay, the other way to do it, the same thing is, I'll go to one more question here. To do it is, I'll search the evidence if I know the name, and click on evidence. I'll get this file, I'll click on add, and it's added. Now say suppose I'm adding the same sustainability report again and again on different pens, but I want to refer to different pages. Okay, so what I can do is, once it is added, I can go to edit and then change the page number here, say refer to page 40, and click on save. Okay, so now when I go here, I'll see the description is referred to page 40. So whoever is reviewing it, or whichever company is reviewing it, they would know that for this particular evidence, I need to go and refer to page 40. Okay, so similarly, I can do it for all the questions. So in this case, I don't have to upload the same file again and again into the system. I can just go and search for that file that is already uploaded, and try to add that again for some other question. So one thing to note here is that whatever evidence that that is uploaded only for this survey and this company would be visible or available for the search functionality. If you have uploaded evidence for some other survey for some other year, those evidences would not be visible in here due to the security reasons. So only the attachments that are uploaded ever for this year's survey or this survey, only those would be available for the search or browse functionality. So that is one thing that you need to take care while adding or using that functionality. Okay, so any questions here?
Would it ever be possible to edit the URL once evidence has been created?
So they won't be able to edit the URL. So in that case, what you the only thing that you would be able to do is you will have to delete or you can remove that particular evidence completely. Okay, and then upload the corrected URL.
Is that it just would never be possible? Because we've had a few cases where companies have changed their website, but it's the same report, but none of the URLs work for basically all of the evidence.
Yeah, evidence because URLs are the base of it, right? So
Okay, yeah.
And because we also use it for the conversion into PDF, so that's difficult to do because that's a base of it. But I'll still check with the team. If we are able to do something about it, I'll definitely let you know about on that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great, thank you.
And just a thing like if even if the URLs would have changed, you would have the PDF that was created, right? So just in case if you want to use that, because it creates a snapshot in a PDF format.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
So you can go and refer to that PDF.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right. So just to know, yeah. So there's a couple of things I need to have is the notification feature. That is again one more newly added feature when it comes to uh, the public assessment part of it, and also like it can be used for the self-assessment as well. Like suppose there is a question like in this case, like suppose there is a question where you want to know whenever a company adds an evidence, okay, uh, or adds a comment, the analyst or the administrator should be notified that the companies have started responding to the the survey, uh, and which are the questions that are uh, which they have already commented on, basically. Because like there are, if there are 100 200 companies, it is very difficult to track each company to know like uh, which companies have started responding, and you have to go inside and see like each question to know whether they have give or each section, so to say, to see which questions they have answered to. Or there was another way which we used to do previously, was we used to create a data set which only used to contain the company comments and the company evidences. So the administrators would go and download that data set to know which are the companies have provided comments to which questions. But that is like again still dependent on our team to create that data set for you, and then you have to download it every time. So to get the updated thing. So recently, with the request of couple of our clients, what we did was we created this notification feature. So how to set that up is something that I'll show you. So yeah. So say suppose I have this company comment box, and I want a notification whenever a company comes and answers to this particular question. So here just to clarify, that is, this is not dependent on any question type or something. It can be any question. Okay, so there is no dependency on the question type here. So whenever the company provides the response to this particular question, I want to be notified that this company has provided a response to this question, or it can be multiple questions. So there is no single question thing. So what I'll do is, for that particular question, I'll go to the template and click on notify. So when by default it is like this. Okay, so it is like not notify. When I click on this, it becomes as notify. Okay, so that means that you want the system to notify if this company is provided a response by the company. Okay, so this is from a setup point of view. So this is very important for this to work. Now how it would look like when you go to the as an administrator, when you log in. So how it would look like is, I'll just show you. Currently you're not able to, let me give an answer to one more. uh, just a moment. So now company has given answer to one of those comments, and then I'll just refresh it here. Right. So now when I go to overview page, you see this page or this section has this symbol here. This means there is an unanswered comment provided by the company, which the analysts have not yet reviewed. Okay, so that is the reason it would show it as review is required. So the analyst can directly go to this particular section and see which questions have not been answered. So this is the question. So now why I did not see that in this particular question is because the analyst has already answered it, right? So that is the reason I was not able to see whether that was already commented on the overview page. So this simple was missing previously. Now I'm able to see it. So that is one way how the analyst would be able to go and see. The other way is like they would receive an email uh, every day. So there will be an email at the end of every day. Like per company there would be one email. So if there are 10 companies who responded to the comments, they would get 10 emails, one for each company, and that email would be containing a CSV file which would have the number of that particular question which they have responded to. So the analyst can directly, and there that CSV file would also have a link to that page directly, so that they can directly go to that page and respond or provide their comments to the company's comments. So this would basically reduce the wait and watch cycle, and like you would be always notified, and you know that today 10 companies have reviewed and I have to go and answer these 10 companies as an analyst. Okay, so that process smoothens out to a large extent. Now that is the second way of seeing which pages have been commented. The third way to see like which pages were answered is like on this particular page here. So you see here, there are two unreviewed responses provided. So here as well, you would be able to see. So this is like how I reached here. Like this is the manage survey page, which is like from survey, manage survey, and then I can see this particular survey. And then there is a progress icon that we covered in our last session. So when I go to the progress icon, I would see the progress of the company. And here there is one more column that is added, which is called as unreviewed responses. So even here, the administrators or the analysts would come to know like this particular a company has some reviewed responses, and there are multiple companies, then you can always sort and see which companies out of the 100 companies have some unreviewed responses. So that this particular is another way of seeing where the unreviewed responses are. Okay, so now like just for the demonstration point of view, I as an analyst would answer here. Thanks, I will change the scores and then click on save. Okay, so now when I go to the I'll just have to refresh the page. When I go to the overview page, it would not show what uh, 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 responses have been given, or like if it is not existing currently. All right, so you would see that. So these are some of the ways you would be able to go through and see, get the notifications for any of the questions that you want to have. Any questions with this particular functionality? Got it. All right. The next functionality is like on the submission. So there is the last area where you would, as an analyst or as a manager, you would go is the submission page. And the submission page has is mostly for the companies, because they at the end go to, please click on this here, this button to go and submit. So once that is submission is done, let me just submit. As a manager I would be able to submit, but as a company they would not be able to submit, because there are this many pages and questions that are not answered. So I can click on any of these pages and go and complete my responses to that particular section. So you will be able to see that there are 12 indicators which are not answered. So I can go to each of them and complete the filling and then submit. So but as an analyst, you would normally, because you want to go and change something, you would normally go and let me submit it once, because as a manager I would still be able to submit. Then what I'll do is I'll untick this box here, and then I would be able to unsubmit it. So submission unsubmission can be done from here. So here also you can set it up like, if you want to say have an email on submission. So one of the things that I covered last time was you can set it up on your survey. So manage survey, wherever your survey is. Let me go to manage survey, and there is this box which is called email on submit. So when you set it up as an email on submit, the email would be sent to the administrators, or whatever emails that you have added that this particular company has submitted. Then there is also a way where you can set up an email uh, for like an unsubmit thing. So whenever a manager unsubmits the survey, the companies would get an email that the manager has unsubmitted. So please go and review. So this is for the reason because we do not, we currently have a one-way notification where if the companies uh, provide the comments, you would get a notification. Okay, but when the managers provide their comments or have completed, the companies normally do not get a notification. Okay, so that is still like work in progress from our end. So in those cases like this means email on unsubmit is basically helpful for the managers, so that they can communicate with the companies that when I unsubmit, like I have unsubmitted it, so that I have started changing the scores. So instead of doing it from out of Probench, you can directly do it from within the Probench. So that unsubmit email on unsubmit is definitely possible. Also, like there is a possibility wherein like whenever there is a submission by the company, you can have uh, the report or the feedback report directly sent to the companies. Okay, the instant feedback report based on the scores that they have. So the submission is then is getting intelligent by the day. Like obviously we'll have to do the necessary configurations, but yeah, like if you want to send an email directly, then you would be able to send the email with the feedback report to the companies as soon as they click on submit. So that is also possible now going forward. So that is about submission and submission. Any questions on submission and submission? All right. So I'll just quickly move on to the next thing, that is like public private. So now we also, like if you want to, we obviously will have to like enable that feature for your site. But if you want to have disclosures for individual questions, then you can have the disclosures like public and private directly from here for each individual questions. Okay, so and then in the data set you would get that public and private disclosure data as well, if you want to have it. So the disclosures can be marked at a uh, uh, indicator level as well. So this disclosure is something new. Like if suppose you have a survey where you want the companies to mark like what data can be publicly disclosed or what data should only be remain private, then even the public private disclosure means that is the place where you can use this functionality as the public private disclosure. All right, I think I've covered most of the features that are related to like the analyst, assessors or administrators from a front end point of view. Any specific feature that you would like me to demonstrate or kind of you want the training on? Then I can cover it now. We have, I think, about 10-15 minutes, or we can also share any ideas that you might have that we should be adding going forward. So we can take it up from there.
I don't have any particular questions.
Sure. Thanks. Anyone else like any ideas that you want to share that we should be incorporating within the system? One idea that I take from Imogen's question is about flagging and unflagging all the indicators. That is one thing that we can think about. The other thing that I take is to edit the URLs that was added previously. That is another idea that we can think on.
I guess with the flagging thing again, I was wondering if maybe, like, I don't know how helpful it is that companies can flag to us because they can leave comments. Like maybe if they could, sorry, it's quite loud, I'm in the office. I don't know if they would just want to flag internally or because then when I look at it, I don't know if it's someone in my team or they've done it because there's no, I don't know if you can tell who's flagged it.
Okay, so no, currently there is no way we can like identify who actually flagged it. So yeah, that is still missing, but yeah, bulk flagging is something. So how do you envision it? Like I think Eva also suggested the same thing. So how do you envision, should the flagging or unflagging in bulk should be at a page level, or should that be at like an overview level where you can like click on unflag all from here and everything would be unflagged? Any suggestions there?
Yeah, I think that would work. Like if you've reviewed the whole assessment and you've reviewed all the comments and you got to the end and you just thought, I've seen everything that there was to say, and then it's kind of ready to go. So yeah, on this overview page, I think would be useful to me.
Got it. All right. Eva, any particular suggestions? Yeah.
Sorry, I would agree. I think on the last step, if they've gone through and reviewed all of the flags and they don't want to click through all of the questions again, it would be nice if just before they submit, or as part of the submit button, it just says submit and clear the flags or something like that.
Got it.
Either way.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Got it. Fine. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, thank you.
Is it does the submit page look the same as I remember it, where this is the tick box, and then if they want to unsubmit, can they untick it?
Yeah, they can untick it and then unconfirm.
Okay,
it's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any suggestions there? Means
we used to have a countdown of days to deadline somewhere. Is that something we can still include on the survey?
you mean that was on the first home page, right, where they were able to select? Got it.
Oh
So
yeah, it says
we
deadline.
have a deadline mentioned, but there is no countdown as such as
Yeah.
of now. So yeah, but yeah, that can be added. That's not a big deal. We can have a number of days remaining here somewhere. All right. Like while we have some time, I think I'll cover one more area, if I might, is like regarding the. Uh, Let me. It's about the share a page functionality. So yeah, it's about the share a page functionality. So this is like mostly for the companies. This is nothing to do with assessors or analysts, but as we are talking about the front end features, this is another significant feature that we have. So like normally at the time of data collection, like this is mostly used for the self-assessment companies. So whenever data collection is done, it is mostly distributed across organization, like multiple different people try to or have information about multiple sections that are there in the system. So most of the times what happens is like the main super user uh, kind of creates or shares an offline document with them, collect the information from them, and then do the data entry within the actual system. So now using this share a page feature, the same thing can be done within like an online data collection, where you can like when you are on the overview page, you can like let me do that. So right, so okay. It was visible. All right. So there are these checkboxes coming here. So once the checkbox are selected, and then you enter the username and password for that particular or whatever the email address. Sorry, not the username and password, but the email address with whom you want to share or collect the data from. And then you can provide some certain note, and then you can click on share selected pages. Okay, so what it would do is it would send an email like the one here, and it would say that hello, we are doing this and this, please can you provide the response here. So whatever note that you provide, that note would be visible here, and a temporary username and password is provided to them along with the links to the pages that are shared with them. Okay, so they can directly go to this link, and when asked for the username and password, they can provide their respective uh, authentication and get into the system and provide their responses. So when they provide their responses, they can only save the changes or save the responses as draft. They cannot finally save it. And then the super user, whoever the user that has shared the details, can go in and then finally check everything and then save the responses. So this is how the complete offline collection of data can be converted into an online collection of data. And as an administrator, there is also a way to kind of, or as a user, yeah, you would be able to also see the history. Like I have shared it with this particular user, and which all pages I have shared with this user on when, and which are the pages active. So out of this two, if you want this to not show this one, you can deselect it, and that page would be deactivated, and that user would no longer be able to see that particular page when they log in into the system. So the whole data collection process can be standardized and done within the system itself. So we call it as a share a page functionality, or collaborative data collection is something that we have recently renamed it. So this is how you can do. You can also delete everything for that particular user, and then that user would not able to do anything when they log in. So that's how the whole system works when it comes to share a page. So this is mostly useful for the company users rather than the admin users here. Any questions here? Any last thoughts, last suggestions that we can? All right. So I think I'll end the session here itself. Like I've covered everything that I thought to cover. So thank you so much for participating in the session, and bye-bye. See you in the next session next week. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.